If you're playing Age of Empires Mobile and you're looking to invest into the Marshal Pikemen lineup because you think they look absolutely awesome and you are really interested in the turn-based combat, this is going to be the ultimate guide for you, because I am going to explain the early game choice if you're going for this investment and if you're unlocking Ramcam through MGE or not. So hopefully you guys get everything you need in this one video. Smash a like, comment, and subscribe, and let's dive into today's breakdown. When it comes to Marshal Pikemen, the first lineup that you're going to be able to actually unlock without any MGE push is going to be Julius Caesar, Bushra, and Octavian. This match is all about turn-based skill combat, meaning when you're in fights, turn 1, all of your turn-based skills will deal damage and then go on their cooldown of either 6, 12, or whatever seconds their skills will show. And we'll explain that a little bit more in depth on the skill section of this formation. So going back into it, we've got Julius Caesar, Bushra, and Octavian. All three heroes you can obtain for free, but it will cost your Empire coins that you will be earning in game. Julius Caesar and Bushra, you can go through the Heroic Rally, and if you want to invest a little bit more, you can go into the Extra Expedition store and earn these through doing your daily tasks. Octavian can be earned in the Season 2 Legendary Wheel event, meaning just spin for him and you're going to be able to unlock this hero. When it comes to the rings of this, the rings what I'm going to suggest is going to be a upgraded package, because the thing is, the first set of rings, to be honest, you could equip any of these rings to any match. However, the one ring I want to emphasize is that Lofty Mountain. If you're going to make any purchase for the first ring, just get the Lofty Mountain, because it's going to actually help you in a variety of ways. It's going to give you survivability and increase your damage when your turn-based skills are generally coming back off rotation. The other two epic rings, the Ring of the Falcon and the Ring of the Deer, could be substituted out with a variety of rings. This is just because those two rings are really good, very flexible, and to be honest, not too bad at giving you a bit of survivability and increasing your damage output. However, those aren't the main rings, and if you haven't unlocked those rings, I wouldn't stress about it, because when it comes into the main rings for this formation, you're going to be going down the Sacred Sage ring. This ring on Octavian is the only ring in the game that actually increases your turn-based skill damage, and it's an absolute monster of a ring if you have it fully upgraded. The other two rings, as you'll notice, Tranquil Water and Lofty Mountain. Both Lofty Mountain returning again for being that really good survivability and increase of damage ring. However, you can change these two rings, as I've kind of explained in the earlier epic reason, because at the end of the day, Sacred Sage is your main ring. You're going to need that no matter what. But when it comes to your other two rings, especially for Marshal Pikemen, you can be using a variety of rings that either reduce the amount of damage you deal, maybe steal stats, recover units, all of that shebang, right? And it's all depending on what you have access to already on your account, because that is a really flexible choice to have too many rings on that match. So let's just talk about the skills, explain what skills you're going to have on these heroes, and then go down the MGE route if you've unlocked Ramcam on your account. So Julius Caesar is going to be your main damage dealer, and I do recommend putting him in that primary slot. You're going to have a ton of really good options from him because of his actual war skill in combat. This commander skill here says deals might damage up to 3 enemy troops, giving you some nice AoE in the front, but it also increases all of your heroes' damage, guys, by 24%, and this obviously increases the higher level you going up. So this is a monster of a skill, and why Marshal Pikemen with Julius Caesar primary is a damage dealing mage, and you need to remember that as a little spoiler for the next section. But when we're going into Julius Caesar's kit, his kit is a very basic kit, even with the epic skills that you want to replace with this hero. You are going to be wanting a double legendary unlock for him just to get the best out of this hero. Julius Caesar's first skill is a turn-based skill, again, meaning it is a guaranteed activation between certain intervals. So every 9 seconds, this will trigger. And with turn-based skills on turn 1, all of those skills will trigger also. You can see this through our Marshal Pikemen testing video and even live stream that we've done on the channel. So check out those videos if you want more additional information. When you go into his other 2 skills, we've got Savage and we've got Kingsblade. These 2 skills I would always put on my Julius Caesar. Kingsblade is increasing all of our heroes' damage even further, doing a really good combination with that Triumphant Return Commander skill. On top of this, our Savage proc now does also reduce the armor of the enemy hero with the highest might armor. This is key because reducing the armor means all of our skills actually hit them like an absolute truck. So that is Julius Caesar's skills, and if you go into his more skills, you do have a different variety of Whirlwind Sweep or Coordination if you choose to have these on your commander. Coordination is a really good skill if you choose to have this. This is increasing just your turn-based skill damages by a flat amount. However, I don't have this on this commander because I choose to have that on my Octavian. Octavian has an amazing skill here where he deals might damage to the enemy troops once every 6 seconds, but also adds 1 stack of supreme might to your troops every time they trigger a troop skill or a secondary strike skill. So every time we're doing a turn-based skill, we're getting a stack, which is really cool because at the top, when we hit 8 stacks, we will consume them and increase the troops' damage output for a flat amount for 9 seconds. Really insane skill here because if you guys have guessed it, most of the skills we're going to be using on our march are all turn-based skills, and we do a nice overall highlight that at the end. His other skill those we use is Coordination. So this is where we've got that same skill that was on Julius Caesar. However, we've got it on our Octavian. This is increasing, again, all the damage by all of our turn-based skills by a flat amount. And then we have Triple Offensive. This is a personal choice that I really do love, but you can change this skill for a different one, such as Kingsblade or even Whirlwind Sweep. I would prefer the Kingsblade on it just to give you more damage output. Triple Offensive basically allows you to trigger 1 of 3 effects, and this is why I like it, because there's a little bit of fun, a little bit of random in here, which gives you basically a might damage proc onto the target, or a strategy damage proc to the target. But the real power is increasing the damage taken on that target. So if that target gets part 3, all of their damage they take is increased now for 3 seconds by 10%, and this obviously increases even further. If you go into the max ranks and max levels, you can see this is 400% damage going up to a 32% increase of damage taken. I think that's absolutely ridiculous, right? When you go to Kingsblade, the maximum is a 30% increase on all damage. And if you go to Coordination, you get a 30% increase on all turn-based skills. And Whirlwind Sweep is a 19.5. Just for all those whiz kids that want to know what the max skills look like on these commanders. Now, yes, unfortunately, Octavian, 2 legendary skills you're going to want to unlock on this hero, unfortunately. However, Bushra, even though I have 2 skills unlocked on this hero, you don't need to do that. The only skill you really need to unlock on her is Peaceful Heathen, because whenever you recover units, you're going to reduce troop damage taken for 3 seconds. And if you've not guessed it, her actual skill is all about recovering troops and disarming the enemy target. This is where nice 2 skill combo synergizes kind of perfectly. And if you go into her more skills, you also have Fortification or Metal, depending on what route you want to go down. Do you want to have more trigger chances on healing, or do you want to actually increase the flat amount of armor on your troops? This skill is really underrated, and it's one of my favorite skills because it's 110 armor from out of nowhere whenever you recover units, which you do pretty often with Bushra. I will tell you that now. So you only need 1 of these skills on your Bushra. You can choose which one you want to unlock. I would say Peaceful Haven just to give you guys more survivability with that Fortification and her main skill. That is all the skills that you need to really be running on your commanders. And the reason why we're running those actual setups is, again, if we go over all of these commanders quickly, Julius Caesar's skill is our turn-based skill, so that's 1. We've got 2, we've got 3 turn-based skills already. We go over to Bushra now and go to her skills. We've got 4, and then we've got our first actual passive base skill. But then if we go here, we've got our 5th turn-based skill. Going into Octavian. Octavian's a turn-based skill trigger here, and then another passive skill going into, you probably guessed it, another turn-based skill. So it's really easy for our Octavian to actually generate all of these stacks that we need to get the damage output increase, and as you can imagine, hit like a truck. So that is our first skills set up all on our Marshal Pikemen. Let's go down the MGE route if you've unlocked Ramcam for your account. If you're in Season 2, you're going to have the ability to win Ramcam through the Mightiest Governor event. This means you're going to have to get a top 10 position to unlock him, but once you've unlocked him, you can invest into universal sculptures into him. So don't worry. If you've got him, you've got him. That's what matters. And the thing is, with Ramcam, guys, you're going to have access to basically 2 different formations. That's a variety of what we've kind of discussed already. So the first one is on screen. So this is Ramcam, Octavian, and Bushra. This match is all about survivability. Honestly, the Bushra is there to give you the recovery and disarm, and placing the Ramcam purposely in that primary slot is going to give you more of a tankier match, which we'll discuss in the skill section. Octavian is going to make a massive setup too, because this guy is just the best kind of damage dealing Marshal Pikeman, excluding our Julius Caesar. So this is going to be the triple kind of setup for a supportive based Marshal Pikeman match. However, if you want to go down a damage based route, all you got to do is switch out the Bushra and put Julius Caesar in the primary slot too. So putting Julius Caesar, Ramcam, and Octavian. The reason why we're putting these guys in these positions is because we want that all damage buff from our Julius Caesar, and we're going to be dropping the commander skill of Ramcam here. By doing that though, Ramcam is still a really good support, and increasing those buffs going off first is really important to actually allow Octavian at the end to deal some massive damage from his major skill, from that cascading mark effect. And that is honestly the difference between all of these 4 matches. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's what you need to know about Marshal Pikemen. The first match is all about supportive and defensive work, while the second match is all about offense. You're not really going to try and disarm and survive and try and be out there for the longest amount of time, but the trades and the output of damage you deal is out of this world. So do not ignore this. When it comes to the rings, they're going to be the exact same, and I do expect, if you're more of an MGE player, that you have access to at least the Lofty Mountain and Tranquil Water at the point that you're going for this, and hopefully working towards that Sacred Sage for this match. Now, because we've gone over those formations, let's do the solid and actually talk about those skills that you need to know about. Because when it comes into the game now, our Octavian, we are hopefully going to try and unlock him on my account in MGE. That's going on right this second, which is kind of crazy. But his skills, let's explain them, because this way it all makes sense if you want your Ramcam primary or secondary, right? So the first skill, Valor of Rama. This makes up to 3 troops of your allies nearby enter a relaxation state, and increases their damage by a small amount for 6 seconds. This does scale off my bonus, as you can see, but when that relaxation state ends, you recover their units by a flat amount of the damage they took during the relaxation period. This is a really good supportive skill, because now you're increasing 3 troops' worth of damage output, and you're recovering some of their units by having Ramcam primary. And this is where his actual signature skill, makes him this beautiful support hero he actually is, right? So every 6 seconds, turn-based skill, reduce your troops' damage taken by a nice flat amount and increase the highest attributes of all allied players, commanders within an area of 1500 by 4, up to 6 stacks for 3 minutes. This effect can be triggered only when fighting against another player and when a number of units deployed exceeds 80% unit capacity. So this is allowing you, if you have him primary now with the Splendor, with the Valor, basically to now increase damage, increase attributes, and heal all of those units on top of that. This is making him the king of support, and that's why if you want Ramcam primary, you put him primary. When it comes to his other skills, you do have Fortification as a super cheap choice if you want to keep that on, and then there's Prayer of the Harvest that you will be getting rid of. We don't want any sort of small recovery when we could put on something like our good old Tenacity, and if you choose to put in primary, you can run that Peaceful Haven for the combo. However, the number one choice you want on this hero, if you're going to lock one skill, is going to be War Elephant. Oh my god, this skill's too good, because it deals might damage to an enemy troops every 9 seconds, meaning it's a turn-based skill, and with a 50% chance to reduce the damage taken from your next enemy skill. So basically, if you're going against someone that's gonna hit you like a truck, you're gonna reduce that damage you take. It's a really powerful skill in the scheme of things, and when you max this bad boy out, it's a 20% reduction with a 300% bop to their face. This is a must-have skill on your Ramcam, and if you go for this skill and you're looking to replace Fortification, you can go down 2 routes, and the one route I would recommend is actually putting Savage. And the reason why you want to put Savage is because having 2 Savage procs does mean you will hit 2 different commanders on the enemy lineup. This targets the enemy hero with the highest armor, and if you have this guy in your lineup, even if you don't have Julius Caesar, this is still going to do 1 armor reduction. With Julius Caesar, you're going to have 2 armor reductions in that kit, so you could do some explosive early game work with this combination, and that is the way I like to play it. However, if you don't like that and you want to go for a little bit more survivability and really play to buff all of your units, I would recommend that Peaceful Haven just to give you that combination of him being primary. So that is the skills that we need to talk about on Ramcam all covered. And when we're going into the things again, like I said, if we're running Julius Caesar primary, having that Savage here with the Savage of our Ramcam does allow us to honestly shred a formation so low that our skills do an absurd amount of damage, right? So that is all you need to know with these formations. So just to go down a quick roundup before we dive into the Signet ring section of this video and then the gems that you're going to be needing for your march. You've got Julius Caesar, Boschra, Octavian. This is the breadbone march, and if you want to unlock any ring, just the cheapest ring even, Lofty Mountain would be the one I would go to and have that on your Julius Caesar and just don't look back. The thing is, you can use that Lofty Mountain on other marches, but that is going to be the one you go to. With the other 2 epics, you want to put 2 really good flexible epic rings that you can have a little bit of survivability or swing the tempo of the fight. Formation 2 is just showcasing the upgraded rings, and this is technically the end game rings that you would want to go for. Sacred Sage being the must-have, obviously being the good old turn-based skill damage increaser. You need that skill, unfortunately, guys. Then going into Formation 3, this is going to be the Ramcam. If you've unlocked Ramcam on your account and you want him to be a supportive base march, which only job is to buff and keep other players up in battle, this is going to be that lineup. If you want to run Ramcam in a more damage-oriented march, you're going to change this up and put Julius Caesar in that primary slot, and you're good as golden. And that is all you need to know with those Marshal Pikemen formations, and hopefully I've done a really good job. We do know, hopefully, there might be some more commanders coming in the future for Marshal Pikemen. You can check out my channel, and we do some videos with a little bit of theory crafting, tinfoil hatting, and conspiracy writing on future Marshal Pikemen that could be coming. So hopefully they do come. But now let's actually move on to the final section of this video, which is going to be the Signet rings and the gems that you need for your account. So let's talk about gems when it comes to your March, because obviously we've got the tactics, hero, and strategy different gems that you can go and equip on different pieces of gear. So let's talk about tactics first. It's the main one that you can imagine you're going to need on hero turn-based skill damage. I'm sorry, there's only this one that's gonna be equipped because you want that damage up as much as possible. The only exception you may have, and I only would recommend this to super lower players that are just trying to find something to work, is actually the healing effect up. And you're only gonna put this on your Bushra. Listen to me carefully. Bushra gems, these are the only ones you're going to put that on because she's going to actually benefit the most out of it. However, 9 times out of 10, you only want that hero turn-based skill damage up on your March. That's going to be the tactic gems, easily covered. Make sure everyone has that on. But then you've got access to the hero and the strategy based ones, and this is where things got a little bit different, because when it comes to your good old pikemen, you can go for obviously different stats. There's strategy up, you've got all attributes up here, you've got might up as well for your account, you've got siege up for obviously hitting players' cities, and when it comes to the grasp of things, might is the best stat. Unfortunately, might for this match is still the best stat. It's going to increase the amount of actual normal attack damage you're going to be dealing, plus actually a lot of your skills actually grow from might bonus. So adding a little bit of extra might is probably the go-to. The second best one that you would go for is unfortunately going to be armor, just so you can actually survive some of those tanky hits that you might need in the long run. However, 9 times out of 10, I would recommend might for all of that damage, especially comboing with the extra turn-based skill damage up you've just gotten earlier. But when it comes to strategy, you have 2 options, and I will say you've got 2 options because some people might think, Sneaky, you're going to go down all the attack route and offer only all unit attack up, and that is where you fall on the latter. When you're playing pikemen, the one thing you do want to do is survive, or if you're getting swarmed, take the biggest advantage of possible. And the way you can do that is adding unit capacity up. And this is where I would recommend, as much as you can, get that hero's unit capacity up. If you can level these up as at least to epic tier and put these onto your match, you're going to thank me later. The higher the unit cap, the more damage, and technically the longer in battle you could be surviving, just because you've got more troops than other players out there. The other one, as you can imagine, my second favorite stat, unit health up. If you cannot afford to get a good hero capacity up and you're just waiting because you're building these up for your account, a second choice that I would recommend is all units health up. Just get your troops to survive. That little bit extra will be the game changer when it comes to your gems. And that is pretty much it. Having basically the survivability and the extra from strategy and increase the damage through hero, might, and then obviously your turn-based skills. So let's flip over to the rings. So let's talk about these rings finally, because obviously this is the section that ends the whole guide. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video so far. So we've got Tranquil War on my account, and I would recommend that on your account. As you can see, troop skill damage reduction, troop defense, and troop health. And for the 18 seconds you enter battle, you're reducing troop damage taken even further. So this is just the king queen ring of troop reductions. This is why I would recommend this ring out of any of them. But when it comes to your early rings, what rings on the purple side could you be using, right? So the first thing is stuff like the Ring of the Crow. This steals might, strategy, and armor from enemy players. This actually works really well with Julius Caesar and even that Ramcam setup because of the Savage, and the fact that you're reducing their armor and you're stealing their stats too is actually just a win-win, giving you as much of an advantage on your side. Other rings like Ring of the Lion is okay if you just want to equip it for now and obviously move this into a better place, but the Ring of the Deer is exactly the same as the Ring of the Crow. Instead of stealing stats, you're reducing a random enemy's hero damage output and then increasing one of yours. And the crazy thing about Ring of the Deer, which a lot of people aren't talking about, is in this current meta, there's Lubus everywhere. And the thing is, if this Ring of the Deer hits the Lubu, it is game over 9 times out of 10. So this is why it's such a powerhouse for your March. When it comes into even blue rings, you do have some good blue rings to choose from. Ring of the Lily, really good. This recovers your troops units for your March. So even if you don't have any actual epic or legendary rings, I would recommend Ring of the Lily or even the Ring of the Clover, because this has a 50% chance again just to reduce the damage you take in combat. But when we come down and we look at that Sacred Sage, it is a monster of a ring. So I would always say to you guys to get this one out of any of them. Coming down, we've got Lofty Mountain, we've already spoken about, but when we come into the other types of rings here, you can go for stuff like Ring of the Badger. This is a really good ring. For the first 18 seconds entering battle, you reduce your troops' normal attack and secondary strike skill damage taken. So you go against any of those Mulans, any of the Hannibals, any of the Lubus, this is going to be putting in that work for your March. Same with other skills, like I said, the Ring of the Falcon, really good epic ring for the exact same reasons. So you can see where even in the early game, if you're looking for ring choices, you could be picking a lot of the rings you might already have on some other matches and put them on here when you are going in the open field with your Marshal Pikemen for the very first time. And that, guys, is everything. Hopefully you've learned everything you need to know about the Marshal Pikemen in this video. We've gone through all of the formations, all of the skills, even the way you unlock them in game, the gems and the signet rings that you can be using for your March. And that is everything. So with it, smash like, comment and subscribe for more guides, more daily videos for Age of Empires Mobile with me, MrSneakyy. And until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky, guys. Peace out.